Hello, today is March 20th, 2026. I'm meeting today with Mr. Charles Kavalec at his home in Fort Collins, Colorado. My name is Brad Hoops. I'm the interviewer for Remember and Honor History Project. Welcome, Charles, and thanks for sitting down today to tell your story.
You're welcome.
Let's start out, if we could. Tell us a little bit about yourself, your date of birth, where you were born, and talk a little bit about your early life growing up.
Okay. I was born in Omaha, Nebraska on 15th and Castellar Street.
You still remember?
Oh, yeah. And in recent years, I have been back to that house where I was born in about, this was probably, 7 or 8 years ago. My two boys took me back to Omaha, and I wanted to see the house I was born in, and I wanted to see the elementary school that I went to, the Field Club School on 13th Street in Omaha, Nebraska. And I remember that school so well. And I have pictures, I have actual pictures yet, of all the kids that were in that class with me in Omaha, Nebraska. I do, and I was just looking at them the other day. I have their names and all that. But they had tore down the old school and put up a new school. But I did have my picture taken by the new school in Omaha.
And if I'm not mistaken, you were born in 1918, correct?
I was born December 5th, 1918.
Wow. So that makes you presently...
There were 7 in my family, and I have one of 7.
Yeah. What order were you of the children?
I was the I was the youngest of all the children. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay.
There were 5 boys and 2 girls, and I had 5 boys and 2 girls.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
Which is
interesting.
unusual. We lost one of our girls when she was 40 years old with ovarian cancer. And it was the same thing that my mother died from when she was 53 years old, when we had moved from Omaha to Spalding, Nebraska, where she passed away. My father, when we lived in Omaha, had been a banker, but when the Depression came and they closed all the banks, he lost his job, and he had a good job there too. And so he had enough money to buy a store in a little town of Spalding, Nebraska, which is in mid-east Nebraska, where the town was less than 1,000 people when we moved there.
And how old were you when you moved there?
I was 12 years old.
12 years old.
When I moved from Omaha to Spalding, Nebraska, where my dad ran the store.
How was that time period with the Depression? What are your memories of the Depression?
It was in the 30s. Oh,
Yeah.
I could tell you so many things about the Depression you wouldn't believe. You know, people were so honest in those days. People in those days were so much different than, when we had the store, we did give credit to people But it was very limited because I would say the biggest share of the people in town didn't have jobs. And this is one thing I always remember. If you owned a house in Spalding and rented it out in the 30s, well, the fellow that rented your house couldn't pay his rent. But that didn't make any difference. They didn't eliminate you out of your house because they couldn't put anybody else in there that would pay it. And then eventually the people that owned those houses, when things got better, they would take and pay their taxes off and get their house back. And the people that owned the rent, they'd eventually pay all that rent back.
Wow.
They were all honest people
Yeah.
and good people.
Yeah.
And they do about anything for you. And I went to high school in Spalding.
Well, how was life for you guys during the Depression? Did you have plenty to eat and
Oh yeah, we had a store,
okay.
and it was a general store. Now, a general store in the farming community means that you sell everything. We sell salt blocks to feed the cattle, because most of our customers were farmers in those days. The average farmer owned about 160 acres, and he tried to make a living on that. He might have had a couple cows, and he'd have chickens, and his wife would plant a vegetable garden, anything like that. And you'd try to plant a little corn, but it was during the drought.
Yeah.
And during the drought, it didn't rain. And the farmer would, there were no tractors then. They used their horses to plow the fields and plant their corn. And then it wouldn't rain, and that corn might get up to 2 foot high at the most. And they'd have to cut it anyway, because that's all they'd have to feed their, and they might have a little hay too, You might have a little part of a hay pasture, they cut the hay and feed the animals. And then a little later on, you couldn't make a living on 160 acres, so they would, today those people, there's less people on the farms, but the farms are so much bigger. It takes maybe 10 sections to make a living on a farm, whether you live in Nebraska or Kansas or Iowa.
Well, so you said your family was very generous and extended credit, but you still were able yourself to make a living. Okay,
well,
good.
Enough people would pay us, and enough. In those days, it was bartering.
All right.
We bought eggs in the store. We bought cream in the store. We bought everything the farmers bring in, and in those days, used coins that would say on the coin, it'd say good for 5 cents, good for 10 cents, good for 50 cents, and they were aluminum coins, and they were issued with the store's name on it, Spalding Mercantile, and the chips were good only at that store. To buy something, they'd bring 12 dozen eggs in, and we'd pay them for the eggs in chips.
Oh, okay.
And that way, we made a living, and they made a living.
Wonderful.
And then on Saturday night, everybody came to town, the farmers, and they'd bring their cream and their eggs, and some of them even make butter, and we'd buy their butter and all the things that we would buy. And then we'd always stay open till 10 o'clock at night on Saturday night, because that's when all the people would come to town. The women would go shopping in what stores there was, and the men would go to the pool hall, play pool, and have a beer or two, and they'd leave their groceries in the store when they did those things. So we had to stay open so they'd come back and get their groceries at 10 o'clock at night before they went home. We even, I remember, to get things going in town for the farmers to come in, we used to show a movie on the street on Saturday night.
Oh.
We did that for a few years, I ought to remember. Well, I went to Spalding High School and graduated from high school in 1937. And then I worked in the store for 1 year, and I saved up enough money working in the store, didn't get much, but I saved enough money to go to the University of Nebraska for 1 year. Well, after I'd been to Nebraska that 1 year, that's when the war was going on, and so myself and two buddies bought a 1925 old Chevrolet and headed for California, where the good jobs in the aircraft industry was.
Oh, right, okay.
So we drove to California.
That must have been an adventure, because prior to that, you probably hadn't traveled too far away from home, had you?
Well, yes, I had. I had been to the Texas Centennial one time
Oh, okay.
with a couple of other fellas. We had a Model T and we went to Texas to the Texas Centennial.
Wow.
That was between times. And then when we got to California, we had to go to a trade school for, just a short time, 30 days or something like that, before they'd hire you. And after we'd been there a while, but I'll tell you something really strange.
Yeah.
That car I told you that we bought in Spalding, going over the mountains, we burned out the brakes. When we got to LA, we couldn't drive that car because it didn't have any brakes. We didn't have any money to fix the brakes or anything. So what we did, we left that car on the street. We took all the identification we could off of that car. And as far as I know, it's still standing there. Anyway, we both got, two of us got a job at Lockheed in Burbank, and one of them got a job at Consolidated. We were separated at that time, except the one guy that went to Lockheed with me, we worked nights. And as you went in to go to work, there was always somebody out there selling sandwiches and food, so you'd have food for your lunch. You always buy that and go to. I got put in the experimental department, and I was very fortunate to be put in the experimental. The other guy, he was bucking rivets.
Oh.
What I mean by bucking rivets, when they put a plane together, it's riveted together. And there's one guy on one side of the plane and a guy on the other side, and they put the rivet in and they hit it with a hammer, and the guy on the other side has to stop it, and that seals it, and that's bucking rivet.
Ooh.
Well, I got put on in the experimental department, and at that time they were building a big ship called the Constellation.
Oh, right.
I think they only built 2 or 3 of those ships. But anyway, what we did in the experimental department, we made parts for that plane. Small parts, big parts, and everything like that. So I worked on that plane for quite a while. And
I think it's on static display at Peterson Space
In
in Colorado Springs. As you exit the little museum, there's a big display. It's a static display of it. They used it for commo later after the war.
wow.
well, we were kind of dissatisfied that the 3 of us weren't together. But we picked up another guy by the name of Chuck Breed from Missouri that came out for the same thing, and he had a car, so he's the one that. But my other friend John Fox, he was working at Consolidated, and we all wanted to work together. So we went out to Calero Air Park in Ontario, California, and we got a job there working nights, all 3 of us together. And we stayed in the top floor of a person that had a house in Ontario. The 3 of us lived up there, and we worked nights. And we would go to. One thing we made it a promise to ourselves that we would never miss work because we were tired and didn't want to go to work. So we did go to work every night. And what we did, we'd inspect the planes. At Calero, that's where they were teaching them basic training in airplanes. And so at night, those planes were parked. And what our job was inspect those planes and leave a message of what was wrong with the plane and what needed to be done and everything like that. And if things were real quiet by 3 or 4 in the morning, we could lay down and nap for a little bit. And then when we got up, when we were done, I think it was 7 o'clock, and we'd all go eat breakfast someplace, and then after the breakfast, we started going to the beach.
Oh.
And Ontario is probably 40 miles from the ocean, but in those days, there was no houses between Ontario and the ocean. Huntington Beach is where it was.
So who was the
And we'd go there I got a lot of pictures of me and the rest of us on the beach there in California.
Wow.
How did you meet Jane Russell?
Oh.
Well, this is later on.
Oh, okay.
So here's this Nebraska small town boy on the beaches of California, that must have been a lot of fun.
Yeah, and we would a lot of times the restaurants that we would eat in, there'd be girls, waitresses, and we get acquainted with them. We'd say, "You want to go to the beach?" "Oh, sure, let's go." So, and I've got a lot of pictures of me and the people on the beach.
My wife calls him the silver-tongued fox.
And we had a lot of fun. And then we'd probably go home and eat a little supper, and then we'd go to bed maybe at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. But we made it a practice that we'd never not get up to go to work,
Yeah.
even as tired as we were.
That Midwest farm ethic,
Yeah.
or work ethic. Yeah.
And we did that for, I don't know, for about, this was later on when I had a date with Jane Russell on the beach, but that was under different circumstances. And, but anyway, we all decided we're going to have to go into the service because our numbers were coming up. And so none of us wanted to be dog faces. So we wanted to join the military before they took us in, so we'd have a choice. So anyway, we went back to Nebraska, and then we went down to Omaha and to the courthouse, and that's where you signed up to go into the military. And John Fox and I, we both went into the Air Corps, and I forget where the other fellow went in, what area he went in.
And
But anyway-
roughly, what time period was this? What time period, when did you roughly enlist then? Do you remember?
Well, yes, I invested in 1942.
42?
Do you know
Wow.
what month? What month, Grampy?
Well, it was in the fall. It was probably in November or December because it was late. And anyway, we weren't called right away. We signed up, and in the meantime, my brother from Chicago, Roy, the oldest one in the family, he lived in Chicago, worked at a bank, and he wasn't married. And he came to Spalding to visit my dad and the family, and so I went back to Chicago with him. And I was in Chicago when I got a phone call. You got to be in Omaha 3 days or 5 days or what it was. So I went back, and we got on the said our allegiance in Omaha and got on the train in the late afternoon, and didn't know where we were going, had no idea where we were going. And then we were on the train all night, and then about 6 o'clock in the morning, we were in Jefferson City, Missouri. And we all got off the train to go eat breakfast. I don't know how many there was of us. let me say there was 40 of us. And Jefferson Barracks is here. There's a long flight of stairs. You go down to where the railroad parked, where the depot was. So I always remember walking up those stairs, going into a restaurant and having breakfast and come down and get on train. And then when we got in Jefferson Barracks, Missouri, it's right outside of St. Louis. And I remember the train stopped and it went on to the military reservation there. And I always remember that as we were getting off the train, the bunch of guys that were there already, "You ain't gonna like it. You ain't gonna like it. You ain't gonna like it." And nobody did like it.
I heard that the barracks were just tar paper. It was cold in there, and
There were tar paper huts. They were square. On one side there was 2 bunks, so there was 2 people here. There was 2 people here, 2 people here, 2 people here, and we had a coke stove in the middle of this, and it was a tar paper shack.
oh,
And I remember there was a lot of holes in it all over. I remember waking up one morning and this one guy was laying right by one of these openings and he had snow on it. Inside, colder than hell. Well then, one of the guys in our barracks got sick. And they took him away to the hospital, and it was so cold, and the hospital wasn't very big, and it was full, I remember, and they had beds outside on the patio. Patients were out there outside during the winter because they didn't have any. And another thing, they didn't know what was wrong with this guy. So the rest of us in that hut, we couldn't go eat with the rest of the people because they thought something contagious this guy might have had. So we had to go eat by ourselves every day for, I don't know, several weeks. And then we went through the normal stuff. Get your clothes, get your hair cut, and all that kind of crap. And then they, you know what the Army is? Hurry up and wait. Hurry up and wait.
How was that adjustment for you, going from civilian life into military life? Was it much of an adjustment for you?
Oh no, when you're young and don't even think about it. And anyway, we were there. I'm trying to think of how long we were there. We were there until I remember it was February, I'm sure. And then we were transferred to the University of Northern Colorado.
No.
Iowa.
University of Northern Iowa.
University of Northern Iowa. And there was about a foot of snow on the ground when we got off the train. It's at Cedar Falls, Iowa. And we were so happy to get out of Jefferson Barracks. We just didn't mind walking in that snow. I remember.
How many people were there? How many went?
Oh, there was a pretty good bunch of us. I'd say probably 40, 50. And the houses in the dorms, houses, and the funny part of it was they had a girls' what do you call the girls when you join the wave?
Sorority?
Well, no, these
All
were
the waves. Join the waves.
waves.
Oh,
yeah.
right, okay, the wax.
There was about 500 waves there at the school, going to school there, and we were there to go to school.
That was known as Iowa Teachers College at the time?
I was teacher's college, yeah. And I remember the coach there, his name was Starbuck. He would give us our physical training, you know.
Uh-huh.
And and another thing, they had a class that I was in that a mathematical class. And anyway, half of the kids were pretty good at learning everything, but a lot of the kids couldn't catch on very good. So what they did, the guy that was an instructor in this math class, he took the poor ones, the ones that weren't very good, and they had me teaching the other one.
Oh, really? Huh.
I was actually teaching there
You
Huh.
told me that.
because there was a shortage, and I'm still good at mathematics. I still know 2 and 3 is 7. You know. Anyway, we
How long were you there?
3 months.
3 months. And what was the purpose of this advanced training? What?
Well, it was, you had to learn just a little bit of everything just to get you acclimated with military mostly.
Yeah, but were you heading in a particular direction as far as a pilot or a navigator or it just
No,
okay
no.
okay
Oh, there was nothing. It was the Air Force. That's
Oh, okay.
what, yeah.
okay
And then, anyway, we shipped out of there for Santa Ana, California, and went on the Southern Pacific Railroad. And this is one thing I always remember. Las Vegas, New Mexico. At Las Vegas, New Mexico. We stopped at Las Vegas, New Mexico, the train did. And this was the first time, and I have a book about this that I just gave Dave, that they did this on the Union Pacific Railroad, going out of Omaha to California, like to San Francisco, not to the southern part of California. And they would stop, the train would stop at North Platte, and they had a canteen there, and
Oh,
they
yes.
fed all the people. Well, at Las Vegas, Nevada,
Was it Nevada or
New Mexico,
New Mexico?
Las Vegas, New Mexico, they did the same thing for us. We were there for, I don't know how many hours. And since then, we've been to Las Vegas many times, New Mexico, and that building was an antique store now that was the cafeteria. I always went there. And, but anyway, then we got to Santa Ana. That's when you went to school every day to learn the weather, learn how to use a teletype, and you had to learn to send messages on it.
Like Morse code? Was it Morse
Yeah,
code?
I learned all that stuff. And everything about the weather, communications, and all of that. And we were there for, I don't know, not too long, maybe a couple of months. And then we went to Port Hueneme, California. That's north of Santa Barbara. It was a military a place where it was a primary school where you learned to fly. And there was a big construction company right south of Fort Hueneme that did a lot of work for the military. I remember that. And on weekends, we would go to Santa Barbara and spend a little time there. And then I did solo in a plane,
Yeah. Wow.
in a biplane.
Were you wanting to become a pilot at this point, or what?
I didn't really have any feelings.
Yeah. And prior to
I'd
that,
go where they wanted me.
yeah, okay.
That's the way I didn't. You didn't have a choice, so I didn't think about it.
Yeah. Well, now,
Well, anyway, and then we were there for, weren't there very long, month or more, couple months, I guess. And then we went to Merced, California for basic training. And that's where I washed out of the pilot program. What happened was when we would go night flying, I couldn't discern distances or anything. I was really afraid I'd kill people if I was flying because I couldn't, I didn't know if something was 5 feet away from us, or when we were flying it was worse. When we come down, we had pilots with it. When we come down, I couldn't tell where we were or anything like that. So when I was washed out, and they sent me on a train to Denver, Colorado. And when I was at Denver, Colorado, they had Lowry 1, and on the other side of the runway at Lowry Field, they had a second Lowry 2. And where I was sent to was Lowry 2. And all they did when we got there, they had us doing mental tasks doing this. They didn't really have a job for anybody. And anyway, I will tell you this, that I was working in the commissary on the second floor, and the arena was opened up, and I was up on the second floor on the rail looking down. Jack Dempsey walked in.
Wow.
I didn't get to shake hands with him because I was upstairs. Some of the guys did.
Well, he was from Manassas, wasn't he?
Manassas, Colorado, yeah. He was a Mormon boy from Manassas that used to go around fighting all the bars. He was a mauler. He wasn't a boxer. Anyway, it was, anyway, I went to gunnery school. That's the school they had for me. So I went to gunnery school, and they teach you how to take a 50 caliber apart, put it together, and you have to get so efficient that you can do it in the dark, and you can do it with your eyes closed and everything like that. And then they make you a private first class when you graduated from that school. You got $5 more on your paycheck, something like that. Well, and then it was during that period that my wife and I decided to get married.
Well, now back up and talk about her and how you met. Was she a sweetheart from back home, or how did?
She was a back home girl, lived in Spalding, Nebraska, and when I was gone, she got a job in the store working for my father.
Oh, okay.
And let the rest be imagined, you know. That's what happened. We got married in Denver. And then they had a school opening up. Well, it was already opened up. It was Central Fire Control School. And it was over on Lowry 1. So I went over there, and I lived in a brick barracks. All the other time I was living in wooden barracks with 40 other guys, and everybody was smoking, and I never did smoke. And then everybody was fighting for the bathroom in the morning, so I always shaved at night. Or took a shower at night if there was any hot water. You know how much hot water there is.
Yeah.
All those guys, you know. And anyway,
Now, did your wife go back to Nebraska after the wedding, or did she stay in Denver?
she went to Nebraska, and then she went to stay with her aunt in El Paso, Texas. And that's where my oldest son, John David, was born.
Okay.
In El Paso.
Were you able to take any sort of honeymoon after your wedding, or was it just a quick thing?
No.
Yeah.
No. And then this Central Fire Control School was a complicated school, and it lasted for, I think, 3 months.
Well,
It was one of the longest classes they ever had in the military that I know of.
Wasn't it kind of like the pre-computer, Dad? Wasn't it like pre-computer?
We had computers in that system.
really? Yeah.
Yeah. We had computers in that system. And
How did they work?
this was, they were built for the 49s, B-49ers, which was the first pressurized airplane that was ever
29s,
built.
you mean?
29.
29.
What?
The B-29?
B-29.
Yeah, okay.
What did I say?
49.
Oh, 29. B-29. And they had computers in them that were about as big as this thing here. That's how big the computers were. And what Central Fire Control was, on a B-29, they had I think five guns on top and the bottom and the back. And anyway, the gunner didn't actually have hold of the guns.
Right.
The guns were on the top and the bottom and the back of the plane. And he was sitting at a window, a little bigger than that, and he had the control right there. And when he would actuate that control, he had control of two guns up on top and one on the bottom.
Wow.
And when he would release the controls, the gunner on the other side of the plane would suppress his controls. He'd have controls of that gun. And then the bombardier sitting in the front of the plane, he had control of the one on the front on the bottom. He had control of that plane, that there. So he was a bombardier, but he was also one of the gunners up there. And that system was really, really difficult.
Oh, no doubt.
Well, when I got done going through the school, 3 months, I had the highest grade of anybody that ever went through the school.
Wow.
I did. And so they were shipping some of the class out to the South Pacific. And they wouldn't let me go. They made me stay as an instructor.
Sure.
And I remember this. I tried 8 times to get out of there so I could go out overseas. And they wouldn't let me go. And so I had to stay there. And here's one thing that I remember. When I was teaching, I would get up and I lived in a brick barracks, real nice brick barracks. Go have breakfast and then I don't know how far, several blocks I had to walk to where the classrooms were. And I got up one morning and I was walking towards the classrooms about 8 o'clock in the morning. And there was a 17 took off from Lowry, going straight south. And just as it got to the edge of Lowry, it exploded.
Oh, wow.
Like that. And there's a cemetery, a big cemetery, right south of where Lowry Field was. And that's where that plane ended up there. Of course, everybody, I think there was 5 on the plane. They were killed, of course. But I remember that was a...
Who was the lieutenant that you used to work for? You told me that there was a Jewish lieutenant from New York City that you met. Stanley.
No, he wasn't. No, he was a dog face. Like,
Was he?
No, he wasn't a officer. Stanley Appel. No, that wasn't his name.
Yeah, you told me that there was a Stanley Appel.
Yeah, well, Stanley Appel, this was later on, I'll get to him. But this big Jewish boy from Philadelphia, I can't remember him. He was tall. He was about 6'2" or 3", and he was kind of heavy. He was well, he was an Israelite. He was a Jewish boy from Philadelphia. And whenever we'd go through the line on Friday, they had pork chops. And he'd always grab a couple pork chops. And he'd ask me to grab him a couple of pork chops. Because they're not supposed to eat pork chops. And the other thing he hated to do was go to get a shot. Whenever he had to go get a shot, I had to go with him. And he would pass out. He was this big Jewish boy. He would pass out when he got his shot. And he was always moaning about his girlfriend back in Philly. And finally, at one time, so many things had happened. I'm getting a little mixed up on time.
Okay, no problem. Yeah.
And that, but he had his girlfriend came out, and I know eventually they did get married when she came out one time. Yeah. And
so how was it teaching there at the school? Is it something you enjoyed, or I know you were anxious to get into the fight?
Well, yeah, I met more people that way in the school and everything, and I just enjoyed it. I just enjoyed it, and I was there for nearly 3 years.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And then after the war was over, they sent me to Salina, Kansas, Smoky Hill Army Air Base. So I was there for about 3 months at Smoky Hill Army Air Base. And some of the guys that I worked with in Colorado were sent there too. So I had a lot of friends there. And here's something I don't tell everybody. They had one big building there. This was after the war, of course. One big building there that they had all the merchandise in the world in there. They had tons and tons of stuff. And so...
was it military stuff?
All military stuff. Military clothing, mostly. Clothing. So anyway, I had access to that building. Nobody cared. And I went into that building, and I got, I don't know how many pair of shoes I took. Probably a dozen pair of shoes. I took pants, shirts, 7 barracks full.
7 barracks full.
Wow.
7 barracks bags.
Oh,
okay.
double bags. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
7 bags full of clothing, and send them home to my dad in the store to give to the farmers.
Wow.
Because they were having a hard time. You know, at that time yet. So anyway, that's what he did. Guy come in the store and say, "You need shoes? Boy, do I need a pair of shoes." And so my dad would give him shoes or give him a shirt and a pair of pants fit.
Was Uncle...
I'm sure if I'd ever been caught, I'd been thrown in jail, but that wasn't incidental to me.
Was Uncle Roy in the military?
What?
Was Uncle Roy in the military?
Yeah,
What did he do?
he was don't quote me on these ages, but when he was, I think he was 38, and they were taking him in until 39. And so he went down and applied. Well, they had to go down and apply. And they said, he said to him, he said, I'll be 40 in 3 months. And I shouldn't have to go. 3 months later, he was in New Guinea.
Oh.
What did he do? Do you know?
Well, he was a clerk.
Okay.
But you know, I tried to follow up on his records. I wrote, but all of his records had been burnt
In St. Louis.
in that fire where it burned all those military records, you know.
St. Louis. Yeah.
St. Louis,
Yeah.
is that where it was? Yeah. And anyway, I did get a little information of where he went in the service in Illinois. That's all I could find out.
What about Uncle Dean? Eugene.
Dean,
Yeah. What?
Dean went in and he was in the Philippines.
He was infantry, wasn't he?
Yeah,
He was an infantry soldier.
yeah. He was there for, I don't know, a couple of years, I guess, in the Philippines. And yeah. But anyway, that's the part of my life that
So
that's history now.
when Errol Flynn picked you up,
Errol Flynn.
when Errol Flynn picked you up, was that before or after or during the war?
Well, after I got out of high school, my Uncle Frank, my mother's brother, bought a store in California, one of those open air markets that they have out there.
Mm-hmm.
And he wanted me and one of his son, or two of his sons, to go out there and work. And this is kind of in between things. It was right after I got out of high school,
Okay.
before I went to Nebraska. And I went out there and I worked for a year in the store before. I was probably 18 then.
Uh-huh.
I worked in the store there for about a year. And we had a lot of, that's when I had a date with Jane Russell. There was a bunch of us guys got together and went down to the beach with the girls. I don't know exactly all the details, but I remember laying on the beach with her and she had those big long fingernails. You don't want to touch her. She'd scratch you to death. And then to get around, I didn't have but there was another kid that I met out there when I was working in the store. And he used to take me around. He was a little older than me, about 2 years older. And I remember he went to Hollywood High School because we went there out one time. He wanted to go out, so we would hitch. That's how we got around, we'd hitch. And we'd been at Hollywood High School for something, and we started to walk on our way home. We come to a stop sign, and a car pulled up, and we all stood, and we thumbed it, and the guy said, yeah. And so, opened the door, he got in back, and I got in front. And I looked on the, they had the driver's licenses on the steering gear. Who was it was? And he was dressed all in brown. He had a beautiful brown suit on, white shirt, brown, and a beautiful hat on, and everything like that. It was Earl Flynn. And he said, "Where were you going?" We said, "Well, we were going back someplace," and we said, if you could take us about 3/4 of the way, and if you're going on the street, then you can let us off and we can walk the rest of the way." He said, no, I'll take you over there." And he did. And he did. And another time, one evening, my cousin and I were out, I don't know what we were doing, and when they were making a move in California, they put those big spotlights up, you know. Well, we were going past this place, and they had the lights up, and it was a big, long building, one story, big one. And so we went in there, and they were making a movie in there. It was an ice rink. It was an ice rink, and they were making an ice. And anyway, we were standing at one end and watching everything go on. Some guy came up to us. He said, "What time is it?" Guess who it was? Tell him.
Mickey Rooney.
No.
Who? Who was it?
The big cowboy star.
John Wayne?
John Wayne.
Was it John Wayne?
Yeah, it was John Wayne.
Didn't you meet Mickey Rooney in Omaha when they were filming?
Yeah, back in Omaha.
When they were filming the movie with Spencer Tracy.
Yeah, when the Boys Town.
Boys
They were
Town.
filming Boys Town. I was at Peony Park in Omaha. There was Mickey Rooney dancing where we were. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, John Wayne said, "What time is it?" He says, "I wish it'd get done. I got a date tonight," he said.
Wow.
Yeah, I've had so many little incidences like that in my life. Yeah, because I moved around quite a bit. And, well, you know, after the war, you could either go to school and the government would pay for your schooling, or you could get a job learning and they would pay you for it. So when I got home, I decided that I'd work in the store for my dad. And they would pay me for learning how to run a store. I would get paid like John Fox. One of the boys I told you about, he went to school to become a pharmacist. And that's what he did. And we were friends for life. He's passed on now several years, and we were like brothers. We lived together so many times in our lives in California and everything. And in Lincoln when I was going to school, we were like brothers, John and I. And
Well, now, how, you spent the 3 years in Denver and then I went out to Salida. Did your wife eventually and son join you then, or did she stay down in El Paso this whole time?
she went back to Spalding and lived with her grandmother and worked in the store.
Okay. And then I think you said she went down to El Paso to her aunts then, or?
Yeah.
And then did she eventually then come up to Denver?
No, she went back to Nebraska.
Oh, okay.
And lived with her grandmother and worked in the store for my father.
Were you able to take leave and get back and see her occasionally, or?
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did. Yeah,
Yeah.
I did. Yeah, I was back. I hitchhiked all the way from Denver to Spalding.
Wow. Wow.
But during those days, it was the age to pick you up.
High school.
Get that too. Well, so now, how long after the war before you were discharged then?
3 months
Oh,
probably.
okay. Was there any thought at all of making it a career, or were you done with the military?
Oh, that's what they asked. That's the first thing they asked.
Yeah,
No, I was done with the
Yeah.
military.
yeah.
I wanted to get back to my wife and family.
You bet. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I've had a good life. I've had a good, blessed life. I've had so many good friends, and I hate to say this, but one thing wrong with society today, there's too many pill takers. I can tell you this from the truth. I can tell you this from the truth. So many people are over-medicated. My wife, before she passed away, she lived for 3 years. I kept her at home, and I took care of her. Of course, I'd have help come in every day. For 3 years before she passed away, and she was taking about 10 pills. I said, that's too damn many. So I started taking pills away from her to see how much it would affect her. And I took away about half of the pills. And I'm matured today, I always tell people they don't grow old, they mature.
Oh, right. Yeah.
If you're 6 years old, you're maturing every day. If you're 20 years old, you're maturing every day. If you're 60 years old, you're maturing twice a day. And
Well, you're 107 years old. Is that a big part of your secret? Or what do you attribute your? Because you're still, for 107 years old, you're still very sharp. You're still fairly active. What advice would you give to those that will watch this video?
well, they're all plain secrets.
Yeah.
The main thing is, two main things. I never did smoke. My lungs are good. I've never had any heart trouble. I've never had any heart trouble. And I volunteered at Poudre Valley Hospital for 23 years, twice a week. And you've got to help other people. You know what? When you help other people, you're helping yourself. You're not just helping other people, you're helping yourself. And and you know how much medication I take. I haven't taken a pill in over a year.
Really? Wow.
I feel better. I feel better getting away from all those pills.
Wow. That's outstanding.
Some of them I'd taken for 30 years. Hell, they weren't doing me any good. They were just helping the pharmacists.
Yeah. So you, after the war ended and you were discharged, you went back home, worked for your dad, and then and went on to have a career in retail. It sounds like then.
Well, then I bought this. My dad had
Diabetes.
diabetes, and he lost his leg, and I bought the store from him. And I had it for 17 years before 13 years before I moved to Colorado. And the reason I wanted to move to Colorado was, well, I did like the area, but I wanted a place where the kids could go to school. And, you know, and we're Catholic, and we attend, and my wife, she was always involved in the church a lot in different things. And she did so when she moved here. She got involved in the church. And we picked the area and looked at a few houses, and this one was available, and we bought this 61 years ago.
Really?
And I'd say, Mary, on a weekend, you want to go out and look at houses? Yeah, we can go out and look at a house. And we'd go home. I said, did you like that? Yeah, but I like it better where I'm at. She wouldn't move. She said, we're close to the park, which I love. We're close to the church. We're close to downtown. And I have got so many friends in the neighborhood. She used to go out with a bunch of ladies every day to have tea and everything. And they were just a cluster of good people.
Wow.
And we had good people, and they're all gone now, but you got to make new friends. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, one thing I'd like to tell you, one thing I did out at the hospital, I worked in the radiology. And the radiology is where they set up schedules for people that need appointments for different procedures and everything like that. And my job is to take them to the procedure. And when I had a little old lady that was, I know she's in her 90s, and she's going to have radiology. She's like this. And I'd say, Chuck, you got to take so-and-so to radiology. Okay. So I'd go up to her and I'd say, our office is right by the waiting room. I'd go in the waiting room and get her. I said, my name's Chuck. How are you today? And introduced myself. And after I introduced myself, I'd always have something nice to say about her. If she had a scarf on, I'd say, man, that's a beautiful scarf. Or I'd ask her name. She'd say, my name is Rebecca. Rebecca? That's my favorite name. Oh, am I fortunate to meet a lady by the name of Rebecca, my favorite name. And, and that scarf you got on, we'd start walking towards radiology quite a ways. And while we were walking, I'd hold her hand, of course, and I'd say, oh boy, I wonder where you got that scarf. I'd like to be able to get one like that from my wife. And boy, that's pretty. And she'd start talking, and they're talking to you all the time. They're forgetting about where they're going.
Oh.
And when I get to the procedure, of course, the nurse would always say, "Well, Chuck, thanks for bringing this young lady in," and then a lot of times they'd come back to the waiting room and they'd look me up and they'd say, "You know, I was so apprehensive about going in there, but you know, you got me so I didn't. It wasn't bad at all. Yeah, she forgot all about it. Yeah.
Ah, wonderful. Huh.
That's the best part I like to do.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and no matter what age they are, if it's a young lady, a young girl, there's always something to say about a young girl, and a lot of them have pretty names, and you can compliment them. You know, when you compliment a person, it just automatically makes them feel good.
Sure.
That's automatic.
Yeah.
And it makes you feel good because they feel good.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Um.
It's amazing sometimes. And I did that for a long time. And I hated to quit. The reason I had to quit is when my legs gave out. And I couldn't drive the car anymore.
Hmm.
And up to last year I was still working there.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was the face of the volunteer system at UC Health.
Wow. I'll
Yeah.
have to get that on there too. Oh, that's wonderful.
That's yeah. They had those on your computer at the hospital. You turned the computer on, my face would be on there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they had that picture on all over, especially in the nurses where I dig them. And
Wow.
I
So,
had a lot of friends out there, let me tell you, a lot of friends.
oh, no doubt. Yeah.
And I still see that little flower there.
Uh-huh.
That lady, somebody knocked on the door. I went to the door, and there was a little old lady carrying that and a bag of candy and gave it to me. I says, "Who's this from?" She says, "It's from me." I didn't recognize her. I had worked at the hospital with her 10 years ago.
Oh, wow.
And in the meantime, she retired and I was gone. But she happened to be a neighbor of one of my coffee people. And they got together and were talking about me. And so I hadn't seen her for 10 years.
Oh.
She came over and brought that to me.
I'll be darned.
And I had some of the girls from the hospital that I worked with came and spent time with me.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Another one. 251.
So when you moved out here to Fort Collins then, what did you do for a career? Did you,
Well, I didn't have a job.
yeah?
I was thinking about buying a business, but I never did. And anyway, I walked into McDonald's department store, and McDonald's, the head of McDonald's used to be the vice president of J.C. Penney, and he started his own store called McDonald's. And eventually we had 90 stores.
Oh, wow.
They were all over Kansas, Nebraska, Oklahoma, up in Wyoming. We had 5 in Denver and some in California.
Wow.
And I worked, and so they needed an assistant manager here. So I went to work for them, and I was with them for about a year, and I had all that experience from running my own store.
Sure.
They knew what I could do. And so the store in, the manager in Loveland was moved. So I went down there in 1971 and took over the store. And I ran it from 71 to 81. And then in 81, I retired. And when I retired, I said to Mom, I said to Mary, I said, you want to get a motor home and we'll travel all over the country and do that. We both like to travel a lot. And so she says, hell no. She says, who wants to be cooking and cleaning all the time? She says, I want to stay in nice hotels and eating good restaurants. And that's what we did for 25 years.
Oh, wonderful.
We did. I've been to every Civil War battlefield in the United States, and I can tell you more history. I had more books on the Civil War. When my wife said, I've seen more tombstones than anybody in the world. And then I started doing Western battles between Indian and cavalry. And I used to belong to an association up in Wyoming for about 10 years. And I used to go up there on seminars, and they bring the Indians down from South Dakota, and we go to the old battlefields, and the Indians would tell us about their side of the battle, and then we had our side, and I went up there for seminars, and we used to even go artifacts hunting. It was done under the auspices of the University of Wyoming, but we used to go to these old battlefields and have Geiger counters and everything, and it was all organized. And I have a book on it too, that my name's in.
Really?
For being in that for years. I was in that for about 10 years.
Wow.
And I love doing that. And so anyway, we did travel a lot. And my son, John David, the oldest one, he worked for the government. He put up electrical substations all over the country. Missouri, California, Arizona, Wyoming, Virginia. He traveled, 20 years he did that.
And you would go visit him at these sites?
And that was it. Yeah. No, he didn't ever have a family. Yeah. He never did get married. Well, if you're on the road for 20 years, you don't want to get married, I don't think.
Yeah. Well, you used to come and visit me and Paula whenever I was stationed someplace.
Yeah. Yeah, wherever they were. He was stationed in Tennessee quite a bit, and we were down there in
North Carolina, Fort Bragg.
Yeah, we were down in North Carolina 4 or 5 times, I think. Mm-hmm. A long time.
What are some of your favorite travel locations? Do you have a particular one or a bunch that you like? Or no, just anywhere?
You know, I like the different parts for different reasons. I like the Northwest, good for the summer. I wouldn't be in the South for the summer. Yeah. I like to be up north, and we used to go to Arizona a lot. We went to Arizona in the winter. In fact, we went down there and stayed one year, but I didn't like it very well, and Mary didn't either, so we just go down there and stay for a week or 10 days. And yeah, we did a lot of stuff.
Oh, it's wonderful. How long were you and your wife married?
64 years.
64 years.
She passed in July of '09.
09?
Yeah, she was 90.
Yeah, well, her birthday was just last week.
Well, it was October. It's Paul and my wedding anniversary, October 21st.
Oh, yeah, that's right. It was Charlene's birthday.
Charlene's birthday.
My daughter's birthday, the one that passed away. Her birthday last.
Well, that leads to talk a little bit about your family now, if you will, your children and grandchildren, whatever you'd like to say about them. Tell the viewers a little bit about your family.
Well, I do have a good family. I'm blessed with a good family. They keep in communication with me. Bob calls me every Sunday. My son Dave in Nebraska, he calls me every night. And the oldest one, and the other one in Nebraska, second boy, he talks to me probably once a week on an average. And I talk to my daughter she's living in Tennessee now. And I talk to her every Sunday morning at 10 o'clock. And my youngest son, Steve, he just had surgery last Wednesday, a week ago Wednesday. I talked to him.
He lives here in Fort Collins.
Yeah, he lives here. Day before yesterday.
And tell him about Chuck.
He's getting along all right.
Tell him about Chuck in Australia.
Yeah. We have a wayfarer. He went to Australia years ago and he eventually married a girl down there. And he's been down there
since 1980.
Yeah.
1980.
Been down there a long time. And he married this young lady, nice person as you ever would know. And they have two grown girls. The one graduated from college in Newcastle, Australia, and she's a dietitian. And she just graduated about 2 years ago, I guess. And she got a job right away with the hospital as a nutritionist. And she would be in her mid-20s. And then the youngest one, 3 years younger, she graduated from college 2 months or 3 months ago. And she was working in a high-class ladies' store while she was going to school. And after she graduated from school, they offered the job as manager of that store. It's a chain of stores, and she makes good money there. And she has a boyfriend. The other one didn't have a boyfriend. And these girls are traveling girls, let me tell you.
Yeah.
The oldest one, she took a leave of absence from her job at the hospital, and she had saved her money for a year or so, and she was going to take a trip.
The
Now,
Australians.
all of this happened in the last couple months.
Yeah, the Australians do that. Yeah.
The last 3 months.
Yeah.
She saved her money. She had a friend in England because her mother had lived in England, and there are a lot of people in England and Australia there. Well, anyway, she went to London and spent 2 weeks with this gal, and then this gal and her flew to Greece for 2 weeks. And then from Greece, she went to another town or country in Europe, went to Italy, all those towns, and I know she went to Switzerland for 2 weeks, and then she went to Denmark for 2 weeks, and then she went back to London for 2 weeks. She was gone 17 weeks. That's the way they live there.
Yeah, yeah.
And my son Chuck, he and I talk every Tuesday at 3 o'clock and every Friday at 2 o'clock. He's not going to call me today. He said he might be able to, but he probably wouldn't. There's 14 of them. There's 7 couples that they buy. I don't know how they do this. They rent tents on the beach someplace. These tents are big enough to cook in and everything. And they do this up in the mountains once a year or two. But they go down to the beach, but that's the way people live down. They don't live like we do.
Yeah. So you've got 5 sons, 2 daughters. How many grandchildren? You know,
I wouldn't know.
Wouldn't know.
Well, I don't have a lot of grandchildren. My oldest son had none. The next one had 3.
4. 3 girls and a boy. 4.
Jimmy Don has 4. I thought he had 4. And then
Charlene had 1.
Charlene had 1. And then
Patty had 2.
Patty had 2.
Chucky had 2.
Chucky had 2.
We have 3.
He had 3. And the youngest one didn't have any children.
So that's what,
So-
12?
But there's a bunch.
Yeah.
There is a bunch of great-grandchildren.
Okay, good grandchildren on top of that.
I would think there's many great-grandchildren as there are grandchildren.
Wow. Well, Chuck, as we start to wind down this interview, is there anything, I know we only got probably the tip of the iceberg of your story, but is there any other stories that have floated to the top that you wanted to tell, or anything I didn't ask you that you wanted to talk about? And Bob, if there's anything you want to inject and ask, so that ideally we round out as best we can. Like I said, I know we only got
Well, at the present time, I'm probably dependent on my coffee group a lot.
Oh yeah.
There's about there's about 12 guys in the coffee group, and they meet every day at McDonald's. Now they don't all come every day, and I don't want to go every day,
Yeah.
but I do go every Tuesday, and then I do go every Saturday. Bob will take me down tomorrow. I have a friend, Rocky Martinez. He was here earlier today. Him and I are good friends from the coffee group, and every time I have a birthday or anything, you should see all the things they do for me down there.
Oh wow, that's wonderful.
Yeah, they do. And if I need something or need to do something, and they're right there. I could a lot of little stories with them, but I won't go through
Yeah.
them. But
Yeah.
they are just they're a crutch in my life.
Yeah, sure.
They are good, and the hardest thing in the world to do for me is nothing. I do still collect coins, which I have basically for years and years. I got a lot of coins. I'm a coin collector, and just a lot of things and little things. And Bob comes up every 3 weeks, and he cleans my house, changes my bedding, does my laundry, and then I still cook my own food.
Wow.
And then I don't cook a lot. I'd rather go out and eat. And my favorite place to eat is the Pancake House. I eat there. I ate there Sunday, and then this Sunday, Bob and I always go to the breakfast club before he leaves on Sunday morning, and then during the week, and if I have to go to get my groceries or get whatever I need, I just ask. After coffee, I ask Rocky to take me where I want to go, and he will, and they just are just part of my life.
Wow. Oh,
Good
wonderful.
part. Yeah.
Well, in closing, is there anything you would like to say to friends and family that'll watch this video, that or not?
Well,
Any Chuckisms? Any advice?
Buy low, sell high.
Yeah, right.
I do watch the markets every day, and I have for 60 years.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, I've been in the markets for 60 years. And so's all of my family are in the markets.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I don't know. Well,
Yep.
to me today, friends are number one. They're still number one. You know, treat people good, and they'll treat you good, and they do. Yeah. No, I don't worry about yesterday. All I think about is something tomorrow. You gotta have something you're thinking about ahead of time, all the time, and I do.
Oh, good.
Well, what's happened is gone. It's gone.
Yeah.
Can't bring it back anyway. And I'm looking forward to going to coffee this morning. I'm thinking about going to eat on Sunday, and what I'm going to do next Tuesday. I got to go out to the tax man and pick up my taxes Tuesday. And I always got all those things in my head. Yeah.
Well, Chuck, I want to thank you for sitting down to share your wonderful story.
No,
Yeah, you've had a
what's going to happen to that story?
yeah. Well, we'll put it. It's recorded now, so it's saved. But you've had a remarkable life to date, and I thank you for sharing it. But I also thank you also for your service to our country during World War II.
Well, I'll tell you the story. Every September, I always have my furnace cleaned before and a new filter put in it. Well, I I have a friend, I had a guy for about 40 years, and he retired. So I need a new guy there. So I asked a friend that owns houses around, so I know he needs somebody. So every September I have him come and check my furnace and put in a new filter. So I asked him to recommend somebody. So he did, the polar bear. So anyway, he gave me the number. I called the polar bear and I said, this is Mr. Kavalec, and I would like to have 3 things done. I would like to have my furnace checked, a new filter, and to start my heater. I have a heater where the garage used to be. There's no heat out there except the heater I put in there. And I said I would like to have that checked and started. Put the pilot light on. So it wasn't very long. Guy knocked at my door, and I went to the door, and he told me his name, and I told him mine, and I told him the 3 things I wanted done, and anyway, I told him where the lights were to the furnace downstairs and everything, so he went down there, and normally the guy that's always been down there, he's only down there about 15 minutes checking the furnace and putting a new filter in, and then he's gone. Oh, then he'll light my heater, and then he's gone. Well, he was down the basement for about a half an hour. So his name was Caleb. I said, Caleb, is everything all right down there? Oh, yeah. Yeah, everything's all right. I said, oh, I was just checking. And then about 15 minutes later, he come up with the drum out of the furnace. He says it's all dirty, I want to clean it. So he took it outside and cleaned it. Then he went downstairs again and then put it in. Then he was down there quite a while again. And finally he come up and he was down there about 45 minutes. And then he says, now I got to go out and light your heater. So he went out. A little bit he come in, he said, it's all done, everything I'll take care of. And I said, thank you. I said, would you give me my bill now so I can pay you? And he reached in his pocket, took out a medallion, military medallion.
All right, challenge coin?
Gave it to me. He says, thank you for your service. He says, that's all you need. And if you need anything else, let me know. So I said, well, I want you to give me on the card that they have, it doesn't give any, just use a phone number, no address or anything. I called them. They're in Windsor. And anyway, I said I want all the information so I can write them and give them thank you for that. Anyway, and it's just amazing what people. And then when I took my cat to the veterinarian this year, he says, when I got done taking, I went to the office and I said, give me a bill. He just started clapping his hands and said, happy birthday.
Wow.
He didn't charge me.
Well, it's payback for all that you've done in your life. It all came around. Yeah. So.
But that's how good people are to
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Chuck, thank you very much for your time today. It was.
Well, you're welcome. I enjoyed it. That's my goat cart in Omaha, Nebraska, when I was just a little punk. There was a gentleman who used to come around with a goat cart and take your pictures for you. And he did that every year, and that was one of the years. That was an early one. I'm grateful that it preserved it.
1922.
Yeah.
Graduation 1936.
Yep. These are 1940. Okay, well, this is him right here. So,
I got another little story to
and he
tell you.
finished in October of 43. So this mat and the other mat that I'll show you, it was rolled up for 35 plus years. And when I had it unrolled and put in the frames, the guy had to keep it for about 6 weeks so that he can unroll it properly. And hey, Grampy, do you know where this picture is from? Is this from Jefferson Barracks or is it from what?
Getting a little. There we go. Getting a little.
This guy here,
Doggone.
Johnny. Let's see, where's Johnny Kauffold?
Well, I want to tell you a story about John Kauffold.
Okay, I gotta find him first.
I'm not sure.
Oh, there he is. Johnny Kauffold, he's a buddy for...
That was taken in California.
Johnny Kauffold is from Omaha, Nebraska. And so Grampy became good friends. He didn't know him prior to the war.
And where's Chuck in this picture?
And then Grampy is right there. And these are all aviation cadets, so hard to say. You know, John ended up being a navigator, didn't he, Dad? John Kauffold, a navigator? Was he a navigator or
No, he's a pilot.
was he a pilot?
Oh, yeah, John
Okay.
was a pilot.
But I've got
John Kauffold, that became my best friend.
another best friend.
He was married, had one daughter. That daughter came to school at CSU. Well, I knew John from the Army, and his daughter came to school. When she came to school, he would come about every 6 months and spend a week with us. And then once a year in the summertime, we'd go out to San Jose where they lived, spend a week with her. And we did that for years. And then he and his wife have both been gone for probably 10 years now. His wife has gone first. And then every year,
Every Christmas.
at Christmas time, John's daughter, who was
Margot.
going to school here, Margot, she lives in Truckee, California, and I still are real close. Every Christmas, she has a poinsettia sent to me, a big one, and I've had that ever since a week before Christmas.
Still fresh.
That, if you know how to, I've been getting them for 15 years, and I know how to. When I was stationed in Denver, after I was done teaching, I was sent with a group of, there was 7 of us. We were sent to Laredo, Texas, to install guns in airplanes for, I don't know how many planes, but for practice planes. So that's what we went down there for.
Tell me about this poster here.
Well, they needed somebody to represent the hospital's good care. And so it was between me and several other people, and they decided that I was the best one to do that for. So they had a bunch of guys come up from, photographers come up from Denver to do that.
And you're 101 in this picture, right?
Yeah.
Wow.